Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Clark. I'm Director of Michigan's Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, and I'm so glad to welcome you to the press conference today. I'm happy to be here representing EGLE along with my esteemed colleagues on the line to share some exciting news with you this morning. In April, we celebrate Earth Day. It's coming up this week. Michigan has a wonderful Earth Day history, including playing a pivotal role in the very first Earth Day. That's because Michiganders take our amazing resources, the Great Lakes, and our stewardship role for 20% of the Earth's surface freshwater very seriously. We know that Michigan is a beautiful place to live, work, play, raise families, and grow businesses. The health of our communities, the strength of our economy, depends on the fundamentals of clean air, safe water, and nutritious food. Every Michigander deserves the opportunity to be successful, starting with their health. That means protecting our air, water, and soil. Recycling and other sustainable materials management practices are not only vital to protecting Michigan's environment, but also creating jobs and economic opportunity and serving as pillars for an effective response to climate change. That's why I'm so excited today to join with the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, Meijer, and two of Michigan's most respected Republican and Democratic lawmakers in announcing the NextCycle Michigan initiative. NextCycle Michigan is the first of its kind partnership with bipartisan support that will help fund infrastructure investment to promote the development of markets for recycled materials and recycled products, including manufacturing. Michigan is among the first states in the US to introduce this bold partnership that leverages state dollars with private investment to fund shovel-ready projects, state-of-the-art technology installation, and innovation grants. The aim of NextCycle Michigan is to spark the state's recycling and recovery economy. As part of the NextCycle Michigan initiative, EGLE is announcing today that we have already in 2020 and 2021 funded $97 million committed to recycling projects through partners that, in addition to Meijer, also include Henry Ford Health System, GFL Environmental, Carton Council of North America, Goodwill Industries, Keurig Dr. Pepper, the Foodservice Packaging Institute, the U.S. Business Council for Sustained Development, Emterra Environmental, Washtenaw County, Great Lakes Tissue, and more than 30 Michigan companies, organizations, and nonprofits. NextCycle offers a tremendous step forward for both recycling and business development. Here's just one example. In Grand Rapids, Public Thread is a community-based upcycling company working to divert scrap and surplus textiles from our landfills, create living wage jobs, and support a growing creative economy. By creating something new out of waste materials, Public Thread is keeping thousands of pounds of textiles from the landfill, including grain bags, fabrics, banners, and billboards. Public Thread designers transform these rescued materials into expertly crafted products for the mindful consumer. The NextCycle Michigan initiative is designed to promote more companies like Public Thread that are prosperous, green, and growing. NextCycle Michigan aligns with the My Healthy Climate Plan that Governor Whitmer introduced last year. This comprehensive plan will protect Michiganders' public health and the environment and help develop new clean energy jobs by putting Michigan on a path towards becoming fully carbon neutral by 2050. With the launch of the NextCycle Michigan initiative, the state of Michigan can lay the groundwork for a successful pursuit of ambitious sustainability goals across our state, from rural communities to downtown Detroit, from private citizens to businesses, schools, and other institutions. Additional support for NextCycle Michigan comes from the Renew Michigan grants, created with bipartisan approval to bolster the state's recycling efforts. Together, the NextCycle Michigan initiative and the Renew Michigan Fund mark the largest push in state history to promote recycling activities that divert materials from Michigan landfills, boost local economies, and support EGLE's climate change priorities through reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. Education and participation will be critical to the success of these efforts. The effectiveness of Michigan's commitment to recycling depends more than anything else on the daily decisions and actions of Michiganders. And to be effective, recycling must be done right. It's not just as simple as looking for the recycling symbol on a product. Together, we must work diligently to ensure that meaningful information about the how and the why of recycling is broadly accessible, and that Michiganders both hear this message and act upon it. The NextCycle Michigan initiative, in combination with EGLE's award-winning Know It Before You Throw It education campaign, featuring the adorable recycling raccoons, has the potential to not only improve our environment, but create good paying jobs and ensure Michigan businesses can continue to grow and prosper using recycled materials to create new products. That's a vision of success that all Michiganders can celebrate. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to pass the baton now to Liz Brown, who is the EGLE Material Management Division Director. Liz.
Good morning. And as Director Clark just said, today EGLE is announcing the NextCycle Michigan initiative. At EGLE, we know that recycling is one of the most important things each of us can do every day to make a positive difference for our environment and climate. But many Michiganders don't often realize is that recycling has also become an essential tool in supporting our state's local economies, businesses big and small, and major employers in the manufacturing sector. By turning waste materials into new products made here in Michigan, we can achieve our goals of saving resources, protecting our climate, and contributing to the prosperity of Michigan-based companies. NextCycle Michigan is uniquely exciting because this level of commitment and partnership to comprehensively promote recycling between Michigan's private sector and state government has never happened before. In fact, we believe NextCycle Michigan marks a major accomplishment in recycling, not seen since our state achieved its first in the nation status by introducing the bottle bill back in 1976. We're looking forward to build on that historic success and to do more than ever before with plastics, metal, paper, all forms of recycling materials. Together, we are planning to use public and private investment in Michigan's recycling system to put materials once destined for the landfill back into use in manufacturing. Through NextCycle Michigan, participating businesses and communities can take advantage of technical and financial resources to expand on shovel-ready projects or to develop new business models. A great example of this is the $9 million recycling sorting facility built by Emterra Environmental through a collaboration with the cities of Lansing and East Lansing. Opening this month, the facility will use state-of-the-art robotics to produce recycling for more than 676,000 households, including my own, across 12 counties in and around our capital, increasing access to recycling throughout the region and creating new jobs in Lansing. Materials from the Emterra facility will then go to businesses like Great Lakes Tissue in Sheboygan, Michigan, where they turn old cartons into toilet paper, sold in grocery stores across the state, including Meijer. EGLE is proud to be leading the NextCycle Michigan initiative with another priority that is long overdue for our department and the state, opening opportunities to all participants in projects with a special emphasis on benefiting underserved communities and entrepreneurs. We are excited about NextCycle Michigan as a catalyst to spark innovation, stimulate economic growth, and strengthen communities and opportunities for all of our 10 million residents. And EGLE is not alone in its support of NextCycle Michigan. We thank our nearly 30 NextCycle partners who are stepping up to help move recycling forward in Michigan. One of Michigan's most familiar companies, Meijer, is here today to explain how they're embracing the NextCycle Michigan vision with hands-on work beginning this year. These partnerships are critical to our success as we work together to improve Michigan's economy, environment, and communities. In addition to these NextCycle Michigan investments, EGLE is also awarding a record-setting $4.9 million in Renew Michigan grants to recipients in 45 communities statewide. The funding is part of EGLE's strategy to support recycling infrastructure, improve the quality of recyclable materials, and promote market development using the Renew Michigan Fund. You will learn more about some of the Renew Michigan grant highlights in a moment from Congresswoman Haley Stevens, a Democrat who serves Michigan's 11th district in Metro Detroit, and also from Republican State Senator Wayne Schmidt of Traverse City, who serves the legislature's 37th district in northern Michigan and the eastern Upper Peninsula. And finally today, we are announcing the opening of the next round of EGLE's NextCycle Michigan funding opportunity. If your company wants to invest in recycling efforts, Michigan's open for business. You can visit EGLE's website at www.michigan.gov/mirecycles for details. Now it is my honor to introduce Michigan Chamber of Commerce President and CEO, Rich Studley.
Good morning. I've been at the Michigan Chamber for 40 years, and it's an honor and a privilege to represent job providers from across the state. Chamber membership is small business, medium-sized companies, major corporations, companies of every size and type in all 83 counties. Chamber members employ over 1 million Michiganders. My family moved to Illinois, from Illinois to Michigan when I was a little boy. I remember as a public school student celebrating the first Earth Day and following those events and the changing debate on environmental issues. I want to commend Governor Whitmer for taking the lead on announcing the NextCycle Michigan initiative. I want to express the Michigan Chamber's appreciation to Director Clark and her extraordinary team at EGLE. When I was a little boy growing up, if homeowners or business people thought at all about the issue we're talking about today, it might have occurred to someone that when you throw out the garbage, it goes to, in those days, we referred to it as a dump or a landfill. We've seen the focus on the Great Lakes evolve to the comprehensive approach we have on energy, environment in the Great Lakes at EGLE. We're proud to stand with the department and support this public-private partnership. I think it's fascinating to watch the debate change from landfills to solid waste management to materials management and recycling. In the business community, Chamber members are focused increasingly on sustainability, making Michigan the best place we can to live and work and do business while we protect the environment and the Great Lakes and make wise use of energy. All of those principles are supported by this program, and we're thrilled to be a part of the program. I can also tell you that having participated as a legislative staffer, working with members of Michigan's congressional delegation, members of the State House and the Michigan Senate, I can also share with you that good public policy doesn't happen by accident. This initiative is a great example of what can happen when members of Congress and members of our state legislature from both sides of the aisle work together to be pragmatic problem solvers and focus on how to get to yes instead of what divides us. And so I want to commend the members of Congress and the members of our state legislature for their leadership on this issue. We are very excited and will work hard to publicize and promote and encourage and support the NextCycle Michigan initiative, including supporting passage of bipartisan bills that have been introduced in the State House. We're optimistic that legislation will go through the State House and then the Senate. We'll work hard to get this landmark legislation to the governor's desk as soon as we possibly can. So again, thank you for the opportunity to express the Michigan Chamber's support for the NextCycle Michigan initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rich. And thank you to our directors, Clark and Brown, and the entire EGLE team for bringing us together today. It's a pleasure to join all of you to discuss our partnership with EGLE through this pioneering program. My name is Vic Srinivasan, and I'm Senior Vice President of Properties and Real Estate at Meijer. Meijer is a family-owned company, and we understand that to be a good company, we must be a good neighbor. We integrate environmental sustainability into our daily operations, not only because it makes good business sense, but because it aligns with our values and mission of enriching lives in the communities we serve. Since our beginnings, we've been committed to doing what's right for our community, which also means doing what is right for our environment. We're very lucky to call such a beautiful state our home, but we must all take responsibility in protecting its beauty and resources for generations to come. That's why it's so important that everyone, from individuals to government agencies to companies like us, to work together and do what we can to take care of our environment. At Meijer, we're happy to provide recycling solutions to our customers by offering plastic film recycling and drug take-back programs. But we know that our greatest responsibility and opportunity to make a significant impact are in our stores, distribution centers, and production facilities. Every year, Meijer keeps 100,000 tons of material from the landfill through recycling. And we have found food waste reduction programs in our stores and manufacturing facilities that recycle unused food into animal feed and compost. We're proud to say that since 2018, we've achieved more than a 95% waste diversion rate at our 5 food manufacturing facilities. But we still have a long way to go to reach our goals, which is why we're so excited to be partnering with EGLE in support of the NextCycle program. This program will help us find new ways to recycle some of the most challenging materials in our supply chain, which include packaged food waste from our stores and difficult to recycle materials in our distribution centers. We look forward to our shared innovation, not only to help us reach our sustainability goals, but also to help us build the infrastructure for our successes to be replicated statewide. Speaking of the impact this program will have across the state, I'd like to acknowledge Congresswoman Stevens and Senator Schmidt, who are here to help EGLE announce some of the key Renew Michigan grants that will help grow Michigan's recycling economy. Congresswoman Stevens, I'd like to pass it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Vic, and thank you, Liesl and Liz and Rich Studley with the Chamber, and happy Earth Week and month to everybody here today. Thank you so much for your leadership. It is a tremendous honor to be a part of today's NextCycle announcements and goals for our future here in Michigan. This is an incredible partnership and an example of how we do things best here in Michigan. I'm in the halls of Congress, where I have found the ability to bring people together by talking about recycling endeavors, particularly as the founder of the bipartisan task force that is working in the same way that this NextCycle partnership is working through public-private partnership. And the bipartisan task force is the House Plastic Solutions Task Force. It is also a part of our recycling caucus, of which I serve as the vice chair of, alongside Congressman Frank Pallone and others from the other side of the aisle who are also a part of what we're doing. Bill Joyce from Ohio is another partner in that endeavor. But it is initiatives like NextCycle Michigan that we're advocating for in of Congress, and something that we want to see manifest and proliferate across the country, which is why I am so proud to see our state continuing to promote these endeavors, to bring together our public sector with our private sector, to support our municipalities as well as individual consumers. And so this is going to be it's going to continue to be a first of its kind endeavor, and it couldn't be better that it's coming from my home state here in Michigan, with partners such as Meijer and the entire Chamber of Commerce here in the state of Michigan. We're also confident that NextCycle Michigan is going to be able to achieve its successful and big goals by raising Michigan's recycling rate from 15% to 30% to eventually that 45%. I believe that approaches like this that bring all the stakeholders to the table, and something that Liz Brown was discussing, particularly when we look at ways in which we can support our supply chain, our materials efforts, as well as lessen the burden that oftentimes confuses consumers. So as we educate, as we inspire, as we bring our recycling raccoons to the table as well, we can also support the back end by minimizing costs. And in Congress, we look at this through the creation and development of our supply chain, the enhancing and proliferation of new technologies and innovations, something that NextCycle is harnessing right on the ground here in Michigan, and lessening our dependence on countries like China that have developed trillion-dollar recycling infrastructure, much to our own expense, and then changed on the drop of a dime such that they were not accepting a lot of our materials and goods, such as plastics and such as some of the other types of metals that we've been talking about here today. And so I can't wait to share what my partners at EGLE have been able to do and achieve by inspiring this round of technology and advancements. And I'd also like to take a minute to double down on what we've been highlighting here today with the incredible grants, the exciting grants that have come out and that are benefiting all of Michigan, some right in my district, Next Energy with $50,000 assessment of electric vehicle battery recycling system needs. This is major in a state like ours. This is, again, going to be very cutting edge and bring together some of even our smallest businesses and our early stage nascent entrepreneurs who are getting into this space solutions with $75,000 in battery sorting technology upgrades. Also taking place in Michigan's 11th district, Chopin with $250,000 in equipment that empties packaging, allowing for additional materials to be recycled. My goodness, we all know it's about the sorting, and that's a really exciting one. I got to call my friends over at Chopin. Outside of Michigan's 11th district, but in the city of Howell with Recycle Livingston, $282,000 Howell drop-off site upgrades, improving the collection and processing capacity and worker health safety conditions. City of Ypsilanti at $73,000 for recycling bins for downtown and public parks. Again, those bins are really important. It begins with that level of sorting and then back-ending it at the municipal level. City of Detroit, we've heard a lot about this one with their recycling carts and on. And so we're seeing examples of this taking place all over the state of Michigan and instigated and catalyzed through this NextCycle initiative. And we all know that sustainability and some of the pressing challenges of climate change are forcing us to take new approaches and to get really serious in the way that the state of Michigan is bringing together individuals, individual actors, as well as private sector partners here today. And you're right, I'm in the halls of Congress, but I'm very inspired to see individuals like State Senator Wayne Schmidt, who's from the northern part of Michigan. He's had a great career and a lot of impacts, and this shows you that when you talk about supply chains, when you talk about new innovations, when you talk about sustainability and the stewardship and the coming together that we want to see for our Great Lakes and the overall health, success, and safety. I love Rich's point because he's spot on. This is about making Michigan the best place to live, work, and raise a family. And so we're honored also to be here today with Mr. Schmidt, and I look forward to taking any questions that all of you might have later in today's press conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Stevens. Really appreciate your enthusiasm about the recycling here in our great home state. I'm Senator Wayne Schmidt from Northern Michigan and the Upper Peninsula, and it's an honor to be here with all of you today. The things that we're working on, I'm proud to be a member of the legislature that voted for the new funding to support recycling in our state 2 years ago in a bipartisan fashion, and let's stress that, bipartisan fashion. We voted to increase the department's funding for recycling projects from $2 million annually up to $15 million moving forward. And these additional funds through the Renew Michigan grants are being used to promote recycling markets, increase recycling opportunities, support growth at the local level, and now more than ever, Michigan residents view recycling as an essential service. And during a time of social distancing and working from home, many non-essential employees are working remotely, and so commercial recycling has gone down a little bit. So it's critical that we make sure that we're recycling at home because those products are critical in the manufacturing supply chain and are very needed to make sure that we can have those renewable materials. And some of the things that's going on here in Northern Michigan and the Upper Peninsula through the Renew Michigan grant recipient program, I'll list off a number of them. Very proud of these companies and groups that are doing it. Great Lakes Tissue, Liz mentioned it earlier, $250,000 to allow for more technology and recycling to make more toilet paper. That's a great thing. GFL Environmental to allow more cart and recycling opportunities. Northeast Michigan Council of Governments, they received $55,000 to support collaborative efforts in securing a new recycling facility. Emmett County, which has been a long-time leader, $150,000 to do the expansion of food scrap collection program. Of course, having all the great restaurants up north and in the UP, that's a great program. 3 Upper Peninsula townships, Ishpeming, Nagani, and Marquette Charter Townships, they received $167,000. They're partnering with the recycling facility in Marquette. Keweenaw Bay Indian Community, $20,000 for new recycling equipment to make sure that they can collect materials and send it to the UP Paper Company up there. The City of Alpena, $58,000 for more recycling bins in public parks and government buildings. And then Seeds, and of course, that's a business up here in Traverse City. They received $75,000 to fund a study on how to optimize organics in the recycling system up north here. And yes, I will do the pun. It's another small business growing that's growing in my district, so I had to do it. With that, again, it's certainly my honor to have been a part of this with all these great supporters, Meijer and the Chamber and Congresswoman Stevens, the department. Great job to everyone. And now let's hear some closing comments from Director Clark.
Well, thank you so much, Senator Schmidt, and to all of our speakers. This has been such a great example of the partnerships that are necessary to move us forward in the recycling space. I want to point out that it is budget season, and more than 50% of the EGLE budget goes back out the door to do work like this on a local level. It's so important. We know that solutions, everybody here knows solutions don't come from the state. Solutions don't come from the feds. Solutions come from partnerships between public and private players, most importantly, working with folks on the local level really to make a difference. So we see that, and you can see that just from the excitement of all of the players on the phone line here together. So we really appreciate you joining in. We're excited now to answer any questions that we might be able to, and know that this is such an important step in moving us forward for Michigan's goals, sustainability, from a sustainability perspective, as well as from a climate perspective. So we're looking forward to seeing what you've got to ask us. And thanks again to all of my speakers for taking time out of their busy calendars to be with us here today.
Thanks, Liesl. Hi, this is Jill Greenberg again. I'm spokesperson for the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. As a reminder, we will be sending a press release about this media engagement today. And we also will be sending a link to the recording of this conference shortly after we're done here. Now we have some time to take some questions. I would ask that you raise your hand in the chat room at the bottom of the screen and provide your name and news organization, and I'll be happy to recognize you in the queue. Thanks. Right away, we had a question from Kelly. I cannot see your news organization, I'm sorry. And she's asking, is it $97 million from partners or from the state and partners combined? And is the $4.5 million in Renew Michigan grants part of that $97 million or in addition to it? I'm not sure if someone can answer that technical question on the funding.
Yeah, so, oh, sorry, Jill.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Lisa. I'll take that one on. So we are happy to get you all the breakdown of how the dollars work. I would like to point out that part of the reason we're able to make kind of the encompassing announcement today is because it is 2020 investments as well as 2021 investments. So we're really excited that it's going to have so much impact. But it is a combination of budget years. So Kelly, we will get you the breakdown of the stats and how it interplays with the $4.5 million too.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate it. Are there any other questions? Floor is open. I'm going to hand it over to Bill with 9 and 10 News Traverse City. We're having some difficulty with the microphones, so I will ask his question. What change can Michiganders notice from this funding? I.e., is this geared towards business investment, or is there action we can take as citizens?
Yeah, I'm glad to take that one too, but happy to share with some of my colleagues here if anybody wants to chime in. So as I mentioned, it's a combination of public and private efforts, and it does connect into our recycling campaign through the Raccoon Squad. And so it is something that to really make a difference, you have to impact in so many different places. And so there's a public piece in terms of talking to folks about how they recycle. But then it's also making sure that, as you heard from the investments listed by Congresswoman Stevens and by Senator Schmidt, it is a combination of investments in public spaces as well as in private spaces in order to make a big difference. So it's a combination of those things together, which is really going to be our best approach to moving the needle on that recycling percentage that we heard from Congresswoman Stevens.
Thanks. We've got a question coming in from Jordan Hermany from Gongwer. Go ahead, Jordan.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. Congresswoman Stevens mentioned that Michigan does have a pretty poor recycling rate, and I know that in 2019, EGLE launched its Throw Before You Know campaign. It wanted to hit 30% recycling rate by 2025. Where are we at now with that, and how is this program specifically going to help us hit that metric that's coming up pretty fast? I don't know if that's a question for Liz or Director Clark.
I'm going to hand it to Liz because it's not something that I can speak to. And if she can't do the numbers specifically, we'll have to get back with you.
Well, the latest numbers I saw is that we're at about 18.5%. So we've come up a little. As with everything, the pandemic has impacted our ability to do as well as we might. You heard earlier that a lot of the commercial recycling is down because people aren't at their offices. Businesses were closed down or working on a shoestring just to keep things moving. So that's a part of why the numbers maybe aren't as high as we would like already. But this effort definitely plays into it. As the director mentioned, it's, you need to think of this as almost like a web where there's all different kinds of things going, but they're all connected in some way. So the know it before you throw it, recycling raccoons, that's to help all of us figure out how to recycle best so that the materials that we're putting in our bins or taking to our local facilities is as clean and as appropriate as possible. And then we have to move into the folks who initially sort that material, get them successful. So again, that they get a clean stream of material coming out the end of their processing facilities, and then to have the markets hopefully very local as possible, so that those materials can be used without having to ship them halfway across the country or have them sit for a long amount of time. And so a lot of the next cycle is looking at the market development piece and how do we move those things into commerce as efficiently as possible. And we do honestly believe that all of those steps are necessary, but each and every one of them contribute to increasing our numbers.
Thanks, Liz. Next, we've got a question from Kelly House with Bridge, Michigan. Kelly, can you get through on your mic?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I know there was an effort a couple of years ago to try to raise tipping fees in Michigan, and that I believe didn't end up going through. And I'm curious if that's something that may be coming back around in relation to this question of, getting more materials into the recycling bin and out of landfills.
Yeah, I can take that one. It's definitely one of those perennial topics in Michigan. But I want to mention that Rich Studley commented on the comprehensive legislative package that's moving its way through the legislature right now as well. And so this is a package that's been worked on for, Liz will correct me, but I think over 6 years in terms of making improvements to our solid waste management statute. And those changes will have another important impact on, this web, as Liz calls it, to move forward and improve our recycling rates and just our general sustainability efforts and how do we handle materials overall. So I'd point out that piece of legislation or multiple pieces of legislation that's now on the House side in House Natural Resources Committee, if I remember correctly.
Hi, we have room for one more question if anyone has anything on their mind. And we've got a follow-up from Jordan at Gongworth. Do you want to ask this question or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can do it real quick. So given the pandemic, are we still confident that we're going to hit this 30% recycling rate by 2025? Or will this goal need to be reevaluated? And if so, kind of what is a more realistic rate we would see by 2025 / when do we think we'd hit that 30% rate?
Well, I would say no question the pandemic has had an impact on our recycling rate. I think we all know it. I think we all know, our focus on one-time use materials for a variety of reasons, and then making sure that those materials find their way into the recycling bin is definitely a little bit of a challenge. And so that's why we, from a department perspective, are doubling down with all the partners we can find to make sure that we're doing everything we can to communicate with residents about the opportunities and what steps they can take on their own. So this effort, again, is a combination approach to work with the private sector as well as with the public sector to get communication materials out there through the Know It Before You Throw It campaign. You heard in the list of grants, it's a combination of money for the public sector to get out additional bins, back to Congresswoman Stevens' comment about sorting being so critical, even at the front end, and then also support for the private sector so that as we're getting those materials moving through the chain, we're being more efficient and doing a better job on the end part in terms of what are we doing with those materials, having a more innovative approach to how are we doing the recycling work that's necessary in order to move that chain forward, so to speak. We're bullish, but that's not to say that there aren't obstacles in the way, as you correctly point out. So it's something we certainly pay a lot of attention to and take very seriously. And I'm glad, again, that we've got all these partners on the line that also take this recycling rate and this commitment to improve the rate seriously.
All right, well, thank you. That is our last question for today. If you have additional questions, I think I saw one pop on at the end. You can drop me a line. Again, I'm Jill Greenberg, spokesperson for the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. I'll give you my contact info real quick. It's Greenberg, j@michigan.gov, GREENBERG, the letter J at michigan.gov. Phone is 517-897-4965. And with that, I'm going to wrap things up. And thanks again for joining us, and reach out if you have any other questions. Have a great day.